Hey, what's going on, guys? We are here in Amazon. I created a quick video just as a tip to help you in the decision-making process on whether to sell a product or pursue, potentially selling that product. And I want to talk to you about market saturation, good ways or tactics I use rather that help me determine whether I think a product is saturated in that I have trouble within that category. So the first thing we do, I'm actually going to close this for a little bit because I'll need the whole page, is okay, let's say you have your product, on your sheet and this is the product you've been looking at. The first thing you need to do is you need to go determine um, the, the health of the subcategory that the product remains in, or rather the primary category that the product is in. You need to go check the health of that category. And the way you're going to do that is first you'll search the name of your product. I'll use the baby knee pads as an example. Search the name of your product. First one that pops up, it doesn't matter which one. The first one that pops up, click on it. Then you're going to scroll down to product information. And on the second line right here, right beneath where it says see top 100, the last link, right? So the last link on the very end, which for this one is leg warmers. Because remember, this is the primary category that this product is housed in, but then it breaks down into smaller subcategories. And this last subcategory is the category that actually the product is primarily in, or that it's associated with. So go ahead and click on that subcategory, and it's going to bring up the top 100 in that subcategory that your product is in. So baby knee pads would actually fall under leg warmers for babies. So we are in the subcategory, which means you're going to see various products that are related to leg warmers in this category, or whatever your product you're searching is. And you're going to see, okay, is this subcategory making money? How are the first, top 10, top 15 doing? Is it super saturated? Are there some big players within this subcategory? Is Amazon primarily in this subcategory? So what we're going to do is we're going to run our Jungle Scout Pro tool. Hopefully you purchase that tool, that Chrome extension. If not, the issue is that you cannot use Unicorn Smasher on the top 100 page view. So you will run into issues trying to do this, but I'll show you how with Unicorn Smasher you can determine looking at it a different way. So if you have Jungle Scout, you're going to run that tool on the top 100 page of this subcategory. And typically I like to look at the top 10. And on that top 10 of the top 100, here's a few things I'm looking for. So first of all, in the top 10 of the top 100, I want to see if at least half or a little bit less of the top 10 have 100 reviews or less. I'm looking to see if half or a little less than half of the top 10 of the top 100. So the top 10 is going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I'm looking to see out of these 10 guys, how many people have under 100 reviews. So if I see that a subcategory has 5 people or half of their top 10 or a little less than half, so anywhere from 50 to 30%, which is going to be 5 to 3 individuals out of the top 10, if they have under 100 reviews but over $3,000 to $5,000 revenue, that is a positive indication for me that this subcategory is not heavily saturated, but it's doing well, meaning that there's no one here that has 1,000 reviews and there's no big name brands. I'm also checking to see if Amazon is selling in this category. I see that it's primarily FBA and FBM, which is FBA fulfillment by Amazon, that's sellers like us, and FBM fulfillment by merchant, that's people who ship from their house. So that's a good thing. That means it's regular people like you and me. If you see AMZ in the seller column, which is this right-hand column right here, that means that Amazon is in there. And you'll usually see when Amazon is in a subcategory, there's multiple Amazon products, and I mean, they're always just going to do well within their on their own platform because it's theirs. So for instance, I'll give you guys an example. So I see right here, okay, we got one guy, 13 reviews, 2,200 a month. That's good. 19 reviews, 1,900. 2 reviews, 1,800. So this subcategory looks really good. Even if, here's the thing, if they're doing a few grand, but less than 100 reviews, that's still okay as well. But I need to see that it's spread out evenly. So let's say I came here and only one guy was doing that had under 100 reviews. Only one guy had 3,700 and everyone else had like 200-300. That would scare me. But if everyone's kind of spread out evenly, if 1,000, 3,000, 4,000, 100 reviews are left, definitely more than 50%. Actually, wow, 90% of the top 10 within this top 100 have less than 100 reviews, but they're all doing evenly, 2,200, 1,900, 1,800, 2,900, 3,400, 3,700, 4,300. Like, that's pretty spread out evenly, and that looks really good. So I would consider this a good subcategory. The next thing I'm going to do after I determine, okay, no one has crazy amount of reviews and, people are doing a couple grand or more a month, that's awesome. That means there's definitely room for me to get involved. And Amazon's not heavily within that subcategory. So the next thing, I'm going to take the name of the product, the name that describes it best, and I'm going to run a search on it. So the name that describes this product best is baby knee pads, in my opinion. And out of the first couple ones that pop up, I'm also going to run my Jungle Scout Pro tool. Now, this is the page where you'll be able to run the Unicorn Smasher, which is a free version of something similar to Jungle Scout Pro, but Jungle Scout Pro has more features. But you can still run Unicorn Smasher and get similar numbers. You'll see that sometimes the numbers don't evenly match, but that's okay. It's just giving you pretty much like an average, but they're pretty accurate. So same rules apply. I'm looking for the top 10. But now what we're doing here is, since we typed in the name and searched that, now we're specifically looking at people who sell the same exact thing as we do. Because in the subcategory, it's just describing it. Like in the subcategory, like for instance, the one we were looking at, it had leg warmers. There's a bunch of different products that could probably qualify as leg warmers that aren't necessarily baby knee pads, making it different. So in subcategories, you'll see a multitude of different products being sold, but that are somewhat similar. But when you actually search the name of your product, that's people who are selling the exact same product as you, or something very, very, very similar, 90% similar. So on this one, same rules apply. I'm looking at the first top 10. And I want to see under, 100 reviews, but making a couple grand or more a month. And we see that out of these top 10, we have someone, 2 reviews, 1,800, 6 reviews, 1,500, not bad, 40 reviews, 2,200, 42 reviews, 7,800. So that looks pretty good. A few people doing 4,300, 3,400, and still have under 100 reviews. So that's awesome. So that tells me not only is the subcategory not saturated, but also the product is not saturated either, because only one person has 285 reviews and everyone has less, which is good, but everyone's still doing decent numbers, which is awesome. Because remember, I'm looking for a product. If it could bring me $1,000 profit a month, I'm going to definitely launch that, because I want to have a multitude of products. I want to have a variety of products, not just one. So there it is. That's how you're able to tell if the category that your product is in is saturated, and also if the product itself, when you search it using the word that, or the term that describes it best, is saturated. So those are 2 ways I determine whether or not I'm going to sell a product. If I go into here in the top 10, like all the top 10, they all have 500 to 1,000 reviews. And, I see that out of the top 10, everyone's killing it. But then below that, nobody's really doing numbers. I'm staying away. If I see that, Amazon is heavily within this subcategory, or even, on the product search, they have like, 5 or 6 products, I'm going to stay away, just because I don't want to compete with Amazon. Within whatever category they sell in, I'm sure they'll even be more strict on how they deal, with other sellers. So I typically stay away when I see a heavily Amazon saturated category with their own products. But too many reviews, not enough money being spread out evenly. Big name brands, Amazon selling in the same category, I'm going to stay away. But if I see that, okay, it's primarily people like you and me, FBA, FBM sellers, less than 100 reviews, but still doing a couple grand a month, I'm definitely going to consider that product and make sure my margins look good, and possibly pursue selling it. So that's how you determine whether a subcategory is saturated and if a product is saturated. Catch you guys later.